Hey everybody, PDC here, and back again with another game to commentate on for the CALLOUS Invitational Tour. This time, again, a game I chose, the Real UD versus M-Dragon. Again, two friends of mine, and I'm recording a lot of M-Dragon games, so Mariano gets to, David gets to watch another one of his series commentated by me. I think this is the third one I'm going to be doing for him. We're just going to start the game. We see a Zapdos and a Blaziken. Wow, so that is two different types of birds. We see UD switch out the Lax, though, on the obvious T-Bolt. And M-Dragon probably go to, like, I mean, he'll be pass out. Oh, he just goes for another T-Bolt. Okay, so let's see. I mean, oh, shit, that actually really did a bit bad. I'm guessing UD is running like a physical offense team with mixed Blaziken. So there's the B-Pass, and in comes the Metagross, which is going to live pretty much anything that Snorlax can throw at it. It's going to take that return pretty easily. Let's see if it has lefties or not. And it does, so it's not going to be able to knock Metagross or knock Lax out in one hit. But he's just going to double back the Zapdos, as we see Melodic from UD. So M-Dragon can either go for another T-Bolt here, assuming Lax is his best response to this. It's going to take another probably 40% cumulatively. Or he just goes for the B-Pass. I mean, it really depends. It depends. I might have just went for a T-Bolt or double T-Bolt there into a T-Tar, but I mean, maybe M-Dragon has better plans for Zapdos, because we see the mash out on the Melodic, and he might try and explode on it, or he might just have a really good switch to it, so it doesn't really matter. But UD, seeing Blaziken Lax Melodic is interesting. I know UD's a big fan of throwing Melodic on his teams, but we're going to see a Snorlax from M-Dragon, which is going to come on in and probably fire up a Body Slam, pairing the Celebi. So this team is looking less and less like a type of physical offense with Melodic and Celebi, and instead it's looking like a team which might have something like a Magneton. So having a Blaziken lead definitely throws people off, because obviously this is not the typical type of build. You see another Leech Seed as M-Dragon just goes for a Body Slam. He's probably trying to paralyze it instead of, outright kill it or crit it. Because that way you can, switch something else into the Celebi better. Comes in the Metagross. Okay. I'm actually sipping ramen right now. It's like 3 in the morning. I have to get this game done, though. So, there's the Meteor Mash. 18 only on that. He's going to have to explode to break this. Like, I don't know if he can break. I mean, he has 3 other Mons, and Snorlax is really good at breaking things, so I definitely think it is possible for him to break through if he gets a little luck. Like, let's say he pairs a Celebi with Body Slam. Oh, there's a Heracross. Oh, shit. Okay. Hard Focus Punch on the Blaziken. Alright, so he just lets this thing go. He probably has a Dugtrio. M-Dragon is a huge Dugtrio Lax fan, so I'm going to expect a Doug to come out from... Or no, UD is what I meant. I was thinking of M-Dragon's typical builds. But seeing as his best Snorlax counter is, or best Heracross counter is a Snorlax, that's not very good for the real UD, so we're going to see an Earthquake come out, and it's only going to do 42%, and we're going to see Heracross come back in and probably go for a hard Mega Horn or a Swords Dance, He takes the Surf, but it does absolutely nothing, which kind of means I think that Heracross definitely has some quite a bit of bulk on it. So he's just going to Mega Horn and oh, he gets a crit, but that doesn't matter too much. I mean, this Mega Horn is still going to kill something, because looking at UD's team, I mean, if he hasn't switched out by now, I mean, he does not have a very good way to beat the Heracross. He probably has something faster than it. I hope he does. Or, well, something like Suicune that can at least beat it temporarily. But M-Dragon goes to his Starmie and is going to be able to beat that Coon pretty easily. I mean, or not beat it, but at least keep it at bay for a while. So Celebi's going to come back in. He wants to avoid a T-Bolt or the T-Wave. And he is, once again, in a really ass spot, because Celebi can probably not really hurt the rest of his team that well, and M-Dragon has 2 Pokemon with Explosion and can knock out 2 Pokemon on UD's team at bay. And he can also always double back to Heracross, so he's going to go to Claydol, which is another one that is beaten by Heracross. It may not be OHKO by Mega Horn if it's defensive, but oh shit, it's fast. Oh, that's crazy. Alright, so M-Dragon's really fat Heracross, which I noted earlier, is actually slower than Claydol, but he has to explode a full health Claydol to kill a 30% Pokemon, which is really, really bad. And we see Snorlax come in, go for the boom straight up because everything on his team's a threat. And he still has another Pokemon with Explosion in the back, so it's not like it's, he has that many sacrifices available. So he's just going to go Zapdos, and of course, this is not a good position for UD. He's going to get 2 T-Bolts off at least, or a Baton Pass. He has as many switches to this thing as he wants. And he's going to go Metagross, and, I mean, it really depends on what his last is, but we see an Explosion come out from the Metagross, and now it's just Coon versus the world, and Zapdos versus a plus 0/0 Coon, unless this is a weak Zapdos or a certainly especially EV Coon, this T-Bolt, alright, so 57, okay, that's actually not, alright, so there's a Surf, no Calm Mind, I guess UD thought that he was, okay, Mence, okay, so if he has Ice Beam, it's possible to win this, but I kind of doubt that he has Ice Beam, but there's Hidden Power, there's Calm Mind, yeah, he doesn't have Ice Beam, I mean, if you had Beam, I think you go for it there. He's probably like Sleep Talk, but HP Fly is going to finish him off, and that's going to be the game. So, not a bad showing by UD. I mean, his team was kind of destined to lose. I really don't like it. I think it's, I mean, Celebi, like, Lax, Coon, Celebi, Claydol makes sense. But, I mean, Melodic Blaziken, like, I don't know, man. I mean, he's just so unbelievably weak to Heracross. He doesn't have a Dugtrio or a Mence. And UD was probably just banking on M-Dragon not bringing a Heracross. So that really was just a complete matchup defeat on his behalf. So now we have to go to Game 2, and M-Dragon is now going to be the one with the Coon, and UD is going to be the one with Tar. And given UD's, track record, I think he's finally going to put down the toy fun teams, put those, shittier teams down. And now go with something that actually works, which is going to be probably a TSS-based stall. This could just be the big Beer Lover 6, but we'll have to see. Blissey plus Tar doesn't mean it's, the standard team. We see a S-Toss on the Sub-Coon. Now, M-Dragon, I can tell you this, really likes to run fat defensive Sub-Coon instead of offensive. So this is not going to be killing Blissey and the rest of his team as fast as it normally would. But keep in mind, Sub-Calm Mind Suicune is still very dangerous, regardless of whether it has Rest, Rain Dance, Ice Beam, or Roar. So TSS Talls, don't like facing off against Coon really early because there's no spikes, and if it's sub, I mean, it's blocking status, and it's really just overall really hard to deal with. So, I mean, seeing the Coon, I mean, it's going to be Rest. M-Dragon is a very big fan of Rest Coon, because Sub Coon under Sand cannot really immediately beat Blissey, even if it's max special attack, I don't think. So, we're going to have to see what happens here. He's probably going to go for another sub, which will allow M-Dragon to basically rest up at 100% behind the sub. UD could go for I mean, he's probably just going to S-Toss again. Like, I mean, there's no reason not to. He almost definitely has something to Whirlwind or Roar It Out. And this Coon is obviously not going to be packing a move like Roar or Sleep Talk, so he could essentially go to something like Tar with no worry. I would have, of course, been wary about the Magneton switch there, but UD knows that the Magneton switch there for the Whirlwind from Skarm is fairly obvious, and Mag is a very, very common partner of Calm Mind Coon in general, so UD actually calls it out in the chat by saying naughty, naughty, but we see a S-Toss from UD again on the Snorlax, so this is probably going to be I wouldn't say a standard, but a similar, kind of build, which has, Coon, probably Doll, Mag, Lax, could have Celebi, and hopefully has a Heracross counter, but it looks like he's not going to be needing it this game. We see UD just go for spikes against the Curselax, which I do wonder if that's the right play, because Fortress is not like Skarm, it can't Whirlwind Snorlax out, and he goes to T-Tar, but, I mean, it really depends on the set. If this Snorlax is Earthquake, he might just win right here. That really might be it. However, usually they are Shadow Ball, because they lack a Pursuit. Oh, it lived? Okay, here's the Roar. Alright, so that was... I really thought +3 would do it. I really did. I thought +3 would maybe do it, but it lived, which is really, really great for the UD. He basically gets to live another day. And even though T-Tar can 90%, he at least has one layer of spikes up on the field. And the Snorlax is going to have a lot harder time cursing up to that point again, because now, I mean, he can just fire up an S-Toss, and Snorlax is going to be forced to rest very, very soon. And I doubt it's going to be Sleep Talk, so that's also really good for UD. So he can S-Toss here again if he wants. I mean, he's not really in too much danger of doing so, which he's going to go ahead and do, and he's going to leave that Snorlax at 30%. So he's going to have to curse here, but he's also going to have to rest on the following turn. So the UD can decide to go Tar here. He could go Fortress and, then go back to Tar if he feels like it's not safe enough. He just goes for another S-Toss, and M-Dragon is going to go for a rest. So UD decided to just straight up go for the S-Toss because he thought maybe he could attack or maybe he could curse again. I mean, I don't know. I mean, S-Toss made sense there, but I think I would have went to Fortress anyway. We see T-Tar come in. T-Tar is going to gain a little bit of health back, but he's also just going to be able to roar him out. And Lax is going to have, 0 sleep turns when it comes back in. But for the moment, Crisis is averted. However, not for very long, because that Snorlax looks like it can be a real pain in the ass for UD to deal with. And seeing as how that Lax has EQ B-Slam, I assume he has some way to kill Gengar. I mean, probably, or like a Pursuiter or something. I don't know, maybe. But we're just gonna see a +1 curse again from Lax, and now the situation is dire once again. Lax is at 88%. It does not even have an S-Toss on it. And we see UD go to Moltres, but Moltres is, of course, not a very good Lax counter, and the only thing he can really do is burn it or roar it out while risking death. I don't believe it dies from +2, because this is a pretty weak Snorlax, so he's probably just going to decide to, okay, so he roars it out, but not without taking 77%. He Whirlwinds in the Magneton, which isn't bad. I mean, Moltres is faster and can fire off an attack, which is good. So let's see what he goes for. Probably just a standard... Oh, shit, it's Houndoom. Oh, fuck, there it is. Good roar. Houndoom is the Gengar, check. It's the thing that beats Gengar on M-Dragon's team. This actually looks like a pretty old team. It really looks like an old Halloween team, if I'm thinking about the team correctly. But Houndoom used to be a really premier Gengar counter. In fact, it probably isn't that terrible anymore because Houndoom, I mean, it beats those Fire Punch grass, type Gengars really easy and beats pretty much all Gengars that lack T-Bolt or D-Punch really easy as well because it basically forces Gengar to explode. Because Ice Punch, HP Grass, Fire Punch, Explosion, Gars are, of course, completely walled by Houndoom. So, now we're just going to see him go out to T-Tar on the Body Slam. T-Tar, however, will die to an Earthquake, but it gets the Wish Pass, so now it's healthy again, which is kind of turning the tables, but, I mean, at the same time... Alright, so there's the Gengar. Alright, so there's the Gengar. And we see the EQ. We know Lax cannot touch Gar, so Gar basically has free reign here. And if it has T-Bolt, I think it can 2 a KO Houndoom possibly with it, but I don't think I would go hard Houndoom if I were M-Dragon anyway. He goes for a Curse, which is it forces a situation, because by cursing on an expected Gengar switch, M-Dragon now forces him to either go back to Gar, which he knows walls it, which opens up the possibility of a double, but he's just going to Body Slam, and once again, UD is going to have, a fair enough situation against this where he can either switch out or go for an attack, depending on if he has something to hurt Houndoom. M-Dragon decides to go hard Houndoom this time, as we do see a T-Bolt, and it's going to para him, and I guarantee this Gengar is probably going to pretty easily live a Crunch. So, he's just going to T-Bolt him again. There's no way Crunch kills. And he just goes for... Oh, holy shit, it would have killed. Wow, so it was actually an offensive Gar. I mean, Houndoom is not that frail. I should have known, but seeing a Pursuit do 62 is... Yeah, so that's an offensive Gengar, which, it makes more sense, because he does have a Moltres, and having an exploding offensive Gar is a pretty good complementary partner to Moltres. So, UD has, Gengar to wall Snorlax pretty much permanently, and this is actually, I mean, I wouldn't say it's exactly in his favor, but, I mean, it's not looking bad for him, I mean, it really isn't. Although, actually, I don't think UD can actually beat Kun that confidently. I mean, I think he really will struggle against it no matter what. Gengar is not going to be able to tank any moves, and neither is Moltres, and Tar cannot come in. And between Snorlax and Kun, I mean, this could be a really problematic matchup, especially considering his last is going to be, obviously, Swampert, because he needs a very good Rock Resist. So, Kuhn is still really problematic and could just last Mun sweep the thing. I mean, he can't even beat it with a combination of maybe of Explosion from Fortress and Explosion from Gar or T-Bolt because it has sub, so it can dodge Fortress explosions with ease. I mean, we see a Toxic from Pert and we see a Toxic from, Porygon 2, but Porygon 2 can switch into Blissey and cure itself, and Swampert can cure itself as well, but I mean, even though the UD got, the better, part of this deal, I mean, this is still, it's still kind of rough because, I mean, even though he can go to Gar every time, I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's still kind of rough. I mean, UD needs to get more layers of spikes up, and even though Mag can trap him, oh shit, Donphan, alright, so there's the HP, I think that's HP Bug from Donphan. I think that's gotta be HP Bug because it could be HP Rock. It's either HP Rock or HP Bug. We'll see later. I'd say it's probably more likely, I guess, HP Rock because he has Houndoom for Celebi, but it could also be HP Bug. I mean, I don't know. He goes with Earthquake, and we see him go back to Coon, which is 0 turns of sleep. So, I mean, UD really could. I think UD needs to get more layers of spikes up. He really does. I mean, he has. I don't know. I mean, Donphan I really do not like. I really am not a big fan of Donphan in the current meta. But it's a good T-Tar or DD-Tar counter, so he has that going for him. He's going to sub up, and I mean, Blissey has a hard time stalling Kuhn as well, because Kuhn has pressure, and stalls soft-boiled even better with Substitute, so once again, this is not as clear-cut of a game as you would think it as. I mean, this is really, I think, I mean, UD has a lot of pressure on him from this Kuhn. I mean, really thinking about how he is able to beat it with basically, I mean, Donphan is weakened, and Fortress can also help weaken Donphan, but he really needs 3 layers of spikes and to get a bunch of good roar rolls to actually beat this thing. And Kuhn is just going to be awake the next time it comes in. Now, having T-Tar and Moltres as your roar users, I mean, he brings out Magneton, so Magneton can't really trap Fortress anymore. He's just going to go back to Kuhn, and in comes Blissey, which is, again, slowly running out of seismic tosses, and he really does not have a good way to damage him outside of that. And, I mean, he's going to roar him out here, but that Surf is going to be doing probably a little upwards of 50%, and, or exactly 50%. And that's not good. Even though Magneton is dead, Kuhn just comes right back in and uses Surf and Sub, and Swampert can't break it, Fortress can't break it, Blissey is now going to really struggle breaking it. I mean, its S-tosses are getting really low. He probably has less than 10 left. I mean, there goes the sub, and I mean, he can't sub again, but I mean, he just rests up here, and now, another soft build is gone, and then he can rest up again. So what UD has to do is he has to break the sub, and then he probably has to go hard Gar, because Gengar is, I mean, Gengar is a really big threat when Kuhn is asleep. I get it. I do, but I think you go Gar there. I really do. I think you. I mean, like, now Kuhn just wakes up again, and you're. I mean, I guess he has another round of seismic tosses to beat it, but I mean, Porygon 2 is poisoned. I think you're offensive Gar. I mean, I mean, there's a chance if you get lucky with rolls, you can, put more damage on that team. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in comes Donphan. Of course, Swampert's going to scare this thing out. But, I mean, okay, so there's Gar. And Donphan goes for the Protect, which is, it obviously has Protect and Spin. I mean, Protect again. I mean, HP Rock is going to be able to kill this thing, probably with Sand. HP Bug, obviously not. But, I mean, or it could be HP Dark. Is it HP Dark? Okay, it's HP Rock. Alright, so it's HP Rock. Giga Drain from Gar there saves his ass. We see, Donphan getting low. I mean, even Fortress can probably fuck with this thing if it catches it with an Earthquake or an HP Bug. I mean, in comes Lax, which is completely walled by Gar. I mean, if UD wants, he can gain, a couple tenths, percentages back with this thing. I mean, the name of the game here is he needs to get spikes up, and then he needs to pressure with Gengar. Now, Gengar can come in again on Donphan if he just gets a few more Giga Drains. And he has Ice Punch, so we know that the Gengar can, kill Donphan even at a higher percentage. So he can get up a second layer of spikes here if he wants. I mean, Giga Drain is fair, because I know UD needs to heal back up. And, this is, really low cost for him. He can, switch around this at ease. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's Roar, there's Donphan, Moltres. I mean, UD, I think if he had more layers of spikes up, this game would be definitely in his favor, because he could Roar Coon around, and, I mean, I think he should have played more offensive with the Gar. I really do, because even if he went lax, that means you can double out to Gar every time from Fortress, basically risk-free. I mean, Gar's going to come in, and he's just going to force this thing to rest. I mean, he can't switch in anything on this Gar. He can't, because he just goes for an Ice Punch, and everything is going to be 2 KO'd. So, good. Finally, UD decides that he needs to put pressure on with spikes. We're going to see a hard Donphan switch. Let's see what UD does. Gets up the spikes. I hope he doesn't crit HP Rock, because that's like something that could set him back the whole game. He's only has 2 Giga Drains left, so he can't really do this again. We're going to see probably an Ice Punch from there. And now he's free to go for Giga Drain if he wants. He can serve the PP, so now we can do this again. He's going to go back to forward? It's okay. That's alright. That's okay, but I don't know if I... What? Why would you... What? I mean... why would he... I don't get it. Alright, I mean, at least he's outplaying him, but, like... Now he spins. It makes no sense. He shouldn't have done that. I mean, now Coon wakes up and there's no spikes in the field, so he just subs up and he outstalls Blissey. And, I mean, T-Tar can take one more Surf, but now it takes 4 Seismic Toss PPs to break the sub. I mean... I don't know. I don't think he can win this. I mean, I don't know why UD... One, UD should have put more pressure on his teammate by doubling with Gengar. Because if he doubled into Gengar on that turn with Coon after he was forced to rest, he gets a free 2 T-Bolts, which might 2-K Porygon 2. 2-KO it. Might. Or at the very least, force to recover. And I don't know why he wouldn't just settle with the 2 layers of spikes, because he didn't need to get greedy and get the 3rd. He just had to set up the 2 layers and then switch around from there. Because switching between Fortress and Gengar on Lax is a zero-risk situation. Because even if he gets to, like, +2, you always go back to Gar, because Gar cannot be touched by Snorlax. I mean, looking at how he's Ice Beaming Coon now, okay, so there's S-Toss, but that's gotta be one of the very last PPs he has of it. I mean, Calm Mind, Ice Beam, it's going to take a million Ice Beams for him to break this sub. And he definitely knows that. I mean, he rests up, again. He has to get spikes in the field, like, again. He has to, damage his team with Gar. But he can't even break the sub now. So now he can roar this thing away at least one more time. But now Coon's asleep it's going to be asleep 2 turns. And he can't even touch it. He cannot even, it's at 100%. I mean, he can get spikes up again, but he's going to really, really struggle to break the sub this time. So he goes Fortress, and he just goes back to Coon, because it's a zero-risk situation. The only thing UD can do is hope that he crits him, or something. I mean, even if he subs here, now he surfs, and it doesn't matter, because unless he can get Gar in on this, he can't touch it. So, there's a Surf, doing 55, there's the Roar, in comes Snorlax, which is at least, that's not bad for UD. He goes Gar, but he has to be careful of the Porygon 2 switch. And now we basically, I mean, M-Dragon forces him to go for the T-Bolt on the Coon, and try and win out now with Moltres. But now the thing is UD has to rely on having Explosion on Fortress, or getting really supremely lucky in breaking, Snorlax. I mean, you know what? It's not as bad as it seems. It's really not. But, I mean, let's see. Hard Tar on the rest. Okay, so he gets some health back. UD's playing this now. He's playing this well. I mean, now I think, yes, he made the right play there. So now he's playing this well. I was just worried that it wouldn't be able to beat it. In comes Lax. Okay. The thing is, he needs more than one layer of spikes. He 100% needs more than one layer. And M-Dragon just rests and predicts it, and the worst, case scenario, I mean, Kun has another turn, and Tar is now going to be able to live a +0 Surf. I mean, there's the Roar. Here's the Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is going to be slower than T-Tar, so Rock Slide from an Adamant Tar, or, okay, Crunch, yeah, same thing, is going to kill. In comes Kun, now it's a +2. He has to roar him out again, and he has to somehow force Lax to sleep? Or maybe he can maybe hard Crunch there and hope he kills with HP... I mean, he has... If he has Explosion on Fortress, there is possibly a way that he could win this. If he doesn't, the game is over. There's no way he can win this. I mean, he has to have Explosion, and if he doesn't, that's it. And now Lax is at +1, so Explosion will still kill. But that, Moltres is not... yeah, it's over. Even if he... Yeah, this is it. I mean, he's forced to rest. I mean, no matter what, he brings in Kun. Even if it roars out, he just brings in Kun, and now this thing is awake again the next time it comes in. He can't really stall the rests, and, Kun comes in. It doesn't even really need sub that much anymore, because the rest of his team can't touch it unless it has Explosion. I mean, he has to go for, HP Grass here and hope that somehow he can force a situation with Fortress. But we know he can't do that. So, I mean, in comes Tar. Okay, yeah, again, obviously T-Tar has a double there. Because, I don't know, he probably has one S-Toss left or something like that. And now, I mean, we see Crunch, which is doing 26, but it doesn't matter because Kun is just going to be able to be awake again, and then once it wakes up, it's really going to be untouchable. So he roars it out because he has to. In comes Lax, which is, again, I mean, this is, he just, can do whatever the fuck he wants here. He curses up, and now T-Tar is going to have an incredibly hard time killing it. Hurt with only Surf is going to be incredibly, there's no way it can kill this unless it gets, like, multiple Torrent crits. And there's nothing he can really do. I mean, even protect all he wants, this game is, yeah, I mean, parrot even. He has to freeze him, and even then, that's not enough to win because Kun still brings it out last month anyway, unless he has Explosion on Fortress. So, I mean, there's the Wish, but it's not going to do anything. I mean, he roars him out, but it's basically hopeless, because you're just going to have this sequence repeating where UD can't touch him over and over and over. And he had Explosion, but he probably should have used that earlier too. So, M-Dragon, you played this well for sure. I think UD, after the whole Houndoom situation, I mean, he had to get more spikes, and he had to... I mean, he could have doubled in and after Houndoom died, weakened the Donphan and the Snorlax collectively as much as he wanted with spikes. And, I mean, it was... with HP Rock on a fragile Gengar, it's hard, but I don't know. Alright, so good game, guys. Especially M-Dragon. Cool team, but it's definitely very old. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.